going on, faded culture? We're back with another tutorial. Today, Brian Guerra requested that we do a burst fade. So that's exactly what we're gonna do today. So let's jump right into it.
Alright guys, so let's start this tutorial by combing the hair into its neutral position. Always combing accordance to that whorl that sits in the crown area. And here I'm gonna start with debulking using my 1.5 guard lever fully open. I have a whole tutorial on this channel on how I go about debulking and the importance of it. Basically, I just like to try to get the hair to look like he came and got a haircut about 2 weeks ago. That way when I set in my first guideline like I'm doing so here, I don't have a lot of overhang from the hair that's on top. So just like I mentioned, now I have my lever fully closed, no guard, and yes, my clippers are 0 gap. We also do have a tutorial on how to properly align your clippers. Now I'm gonna take it a step further, lever fully open, coming up about a finger's width. And just make sure that it runs parallel to the one underneath it. Now next up, going up in numerical order, I'm gonna have the 1 guard and that lever is gonna stay fully open. I do want to mention though, we have a PDF file for every single haircut tutorial that we offer on our school platform. It's basically a mentorship, which you can find in the description down below. You do get 7 days for free, so go ahead and click that link down below, check it out. You have nothing to lose, you get 7 days for free. What's pretty cool about that platform as well is that you can submit all your tutorials and my brother and I will go on there every single day and give you live feedback on your haircuts or anything that you're struggling with. So again, just repeating that same process, going up about a finger's width, making sure that it's parallel to the one underneath it. Here I got my 1.5 guard, again just going up in numerical order. The process is super simple. And finally I'm going to use my 2 guard, lever still fully open. I'm going to stop right here at the parietal ridge just because I do want like a heavy crop to sit on top. And I don't want to remove that length and the weight that's sitting right there in the parietal. So this is the last guard that I'm gonna use. Originally I would probably still use like a 3 and then continue with like clipper over comb, but I'm gonna leave all that length and weight that's sitting there to the very end. I want to pre-style everything first, see how it's sitting, and then I'll adjust from there. You can see this is all the length and weight that I'm talking about. It's sitting real heavy right there. But for now we have those 2 guidelines. The first one that we set in with the lever fully closed, and the second that we set in with the fully lever open. We're gonna start with that top one, work our way down. I have my half guard in that 3/4 position, utilizing mainly the corner of the clipper to attack it. And this step does create a faint line right above it, but do not follow, or basically do not chase it with this guard and lever position. You'll end up taking the fade way too high. I come back in with my 1 guard, leaving the lever in that same 3/4 position. So like I mentioned, it does leave a faint line. I'm gonna use my 1 guard, lever 3/4. And again, just notice how I'm utilizing mainly the corners of the clipper. Now as for the last line, I like to use a 3-step process, starting with the lever fully closed. And on top of using that 3-step process, I also like to break this last step down into subsections. Notice how right here, I'm just focused basically on top and whatever's in front of the ear. Now with my lever at halfway, we're going to continue that process. And finally, lever fully open. And notice how now that I have the lever fully open and I'm coming into the fade a lot more, the angle of my clipper is really exaggerated. I'm using literally just that last tooth of the clipper. This is going to help me to get into those darker areas, remove those faint lines that I see, but it's going to keep me from taking the fade up any higher. So like I mentioned, since I break that last line down, now I'm just focused right here behind the ear. Same 3-step process though. Now using my edger to round off those corners. And also, if you notice, when I was setting in my guidelines on those corners, all I used was when I basically got to the 2-guard, then I started going over those corners. Anything under that, I try to stay away from it. That helps me keep the contrast right there where I need it to be, right in those corners, to make them look real sharp without enhancements. Now I come in with my trimmer, first in a forward position, just to get much closer to the scalp. Again, I highly suggest that you use zero gap your trimmers and clippers. They're definitely makes your job more efficient, makes it a lot easier, but there is a proper way to do it. Because if you don't do it right, you're gonna end up scratching your client. He's gonna get, mad. You're gonna end up fighting him, and then he's gonna sue you, and then he's probably gonna win, and then you lose your house, and before you know it, you're under a bridge. So just make sure that you zero gap, you watch our tutorials, and you zero gap your trimmers and clippers properly. Now using my shaver. Also with the shaver, notice how when I come up to the fade, I turn it around, use just one foil, and then also utilizing majority of the corners of it. Every time I do burst fades and clients ask for the V, a rule of thumb for me is about halfway to the ear. Again, this is all just a rule of thumb. Personal preference, client preference. That's where the consultation comes in play. Either you want it lower or higher. I've seen both, so there is no right or wrong. It really is just personal and client preference. And follow that along with my electric shaver. One thing with the electric shaver, notice here I'm shaving against the grain. I'm pushing down because the grain was coming up. And it's at this part, once I finish my whole process, my whole 2 guideline system, and I remove them, I do the shaving, then I take a step back, reset my eyes, view my client from the mirror just to get a different perspective, and I start doing any touch-up work. Towards the back, I noticed it was a little too compressed for my liking. I wanted to expand it a little more. So I started with the 1.5 guard, lever fully open, and just working a reverse, system. Basically lever open, then lever close. And then I got my 1 guard lever open, then 1 guard lever close. I notice a lot of barbers get stuck in, the system of just trying to finish, but honestly, I'm always looking back and seeing what we can detail. Again, I go through my system first so I don't overthink it initially. There is something as, over fading, where basically you just end up doing too much. You don't give your eyes enough time to reset, and you end up taking the fade up a lot higher than you initially wanted it. So I like to go through my system, take a step back, reset, and then do any touch-up work. And then after I style it, I still come in and do any touch-up work if needed. It's crazy because different angles, and again, it's just letting your eyes reset. There's even been times where my client will get up off the chair, and as I'm, speaking to him, I'll see something that, I want to clean up, and I'll have him sit back down just to clean it up. So don't be afraid to do so. Again, we're all here for the long run. Our intention is to put out the best haircuts possible because every single client is a walking billboard for us. So don't be afraid to ask your client to sit back down and do any touch-up work if needed. Also, I highly recommend that you always ask every single client what they want to do and if they want to do anything to their facial hair or eyebrows. I know for me in the beginning, I would just ask and I wouldn't even charge extra for the service. For me, I always believed in over-delivering, under-promise, over-deliver, and it's always going to come back tenfold. So here I'm setting up my straight razor, pulling out my Faded Culture double-edged razor blades, which you can find at fadedculture.com. and here using my slide razor. It's always between my slide razor and my Turkish style razor. They both have their pros and cons, but honestly, if you have the means to do so, I would highly suggest that you try both. I know the slide razor is super beginner friendly, but the Turkish razor, the lightweight and the thinness of it, it's a lot easier to get into those tighter spots. And I always recommend that anytime you're about to begin shaving, that you start with the thickest areas first. In this instance, it is the mustache, just because your blade's at its sharpest, so we want to utilize it as efficient as possible. Then I follow it up with the eyebrows, always using my opposite hand to help stretch out that skin. And just keep in mind, anywhere that you use your trimmer, follow that up along with your straight razor. Now grabbing my Faded Culture shears. Again, you can find all these tools at fadedculture.com. The shears are pretty cool. They come in a set with the thinning shears. It's a 6-inch cutting shear and a 6-inch thinning shear. I'm gonna come in and add, I like the length that he originally already had on top, so now I'm just gonna come in and add some heavy texture. Notice I'm holding the hair basically all the way down from the grain, just so I could come in a lot steeper with my texture. Again, this is where I begin to see, because I left a lot of that weight on the parietal ridge, I was going for that crop look. I wanted the hair to sit very square. Now grabbing a little bit of my Faded Culture matte clay, I applied a little bit of water first. Then I emulsify the product and run it down all the way down to the grain. Notice how I haven't even edged them up. Reason being is because I was going for a certain look. I wanted the fringe to sit very heavy as well. But once I styled it, blow dried it, I noticed that it didn't sit quite frankly how I wanted it to. So then I still came in and did my edge up. Again, don't be scared to come in, you know, with a certain idea and then touch up things towards the end. So now I'm going ahead just blow drying that product. I like to use a little bit of heat first to really open up that cuticle, melt the product into the hair. And then I follow it up with a cool shot to really close that cuticle and lock the hair in its position. So like I mentioned, I think if his edge up was a little bit more grown out, I would have probably left the fringe natural and heavy. And again, anywhere that you use your trimmer, follow it up with your straight razor. Now I'm gonna apply a little bit of enhancements to those corners to really make them pop. And there you guys have it, a textured crop with a burst fade. I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial, guys. I hope y'all took something new. As always, please let us know down in the comments what tutorials y'all would like to see next, so that way we can go ahead, get to work, and put them out for y'all. If you've not already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Give this video a thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. But with that said, guys, my name is Adrian Barron, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.